would like to welcome you to a very unique and thought-provoking experience. History Speaks. History Speaks is a conversation between very historical people in our past as they sit down and converse about current topics of today, 2017. The three participants in this part of History Speaks will be Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., Malcolm X, and former slave owner Willie Lynch. History Speaks. First item of discussion will be opening remarks regarding the current state of our nation. Dr. King, you may go first.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'd like to start off by saying that I'm so glad to see the progress that has been made for civil rights. We marched and died so that we would have equality in this great nation of ours. We may have some laws that support this, and for that I am glad. But still, we have some difficult roads to travel. Laws are there, but the attitudes of our nation have to change. The interpretation of that which is just can be unjust when applied to the minority, and this has to change. America is a place in which justice is for one, and justice must be for all.
Thank you, Dr. King, for your opening remarks. Minister Malcolm, you may proceed with your opening remarks regarding the current state of our nation.
Mr. Moderator, Dr. King, Willie Lynch, brothers and sisters, friends. At first, when I heard that Dr. King and Willie Lynch would be here, I was a bit hesitant to accept. Dr. King and I differ on approach, but we have a common goal, and that's the advancement of our people. However, Mr. Lynch and I differ completely. But I had to seize the opportunity to talk to the man who created a plan that impacted our society, especially my people, for over 300 years. 305 to be exact. Today we appear to be equal in many ways, but we're not. I'm very disheartened by the lack of love and respect that we have for our brothers and sisters.
Thank you, Minister Malcolm, for your opening remarks. Willie Lynch, you may proceed with your opening remarks regarding the current state of our nation.
First, I want to thank you all for allowing me to be a part of such a historic event. As I have looked at my fair America over the years, I truly see my influence on her, right up until today. When I arrived from my plantation in the West Indies in the year of 1712, I came with the intentions of teaching the slave owners how to tame, teach, and break their slaves. My plan was very effective then, and even now. You refer to it as the Willie Lynch Letter, and I call it my plan to suppress the Negro. But not only did it work on slaves then, but also it worked on the psyche of whites. And that is a feeling of superiority, even till this very day.
Thank you, Willie Lynch, for your opening remarks. Now I'd like for you gentlemen to address why we are so divided today when we have progressed so far.
Mr. Moderator, if I may, I'd like to address this first.
Proceed, Minister Malcolm.
When I look at society today, I see a lot of change. Black folks have jobs, wealth, and education. Well, that is some. Quite honestly, the vast majority of the people are not afforded the opportunity or resources to succeed in America. And even white folk that live in poor and impoverished areas are marginalized in 2017. America is not just racially divided, but she's divided by wealth, which seems to drive change in America.
Minister Malcolm, if I may, I'd like to interject on what you just said. You touched on a point about the marginalization of poor whites in 2017. This feeds right into my letter when I talked about turning dark-skinned blacks and light-skinned blacks against each other, and turning young blacks against old and vice versa, etc., etc. It's all about psyche. You take a group that has been oppressed and pit them against another group and convince them that the other group is the reason for their oppression, and they will believe it, thus creating division. In my teaching, Suppressing the Negro, it made whites feel superior once again affecting the psyche. I was a master of divisiveness, and it's quite obvious that some of your current leaders have learned from my teachings. Dr. King, you may proceed. Gentlemen, I must say that you all have very good points, but I must speak on something that is weighing heavy on my heart, and that is the division that black people have with each other today in 2017. We marched on Washington in 1963 for freedom and jobs, and we were together as a people. We marched on Selma in 1965 in a very hostile environment, and we were together as a people. When I look at the black man in 2017, I must say the dream that I spoke of in 1963 has become a nightmare today. A nightmare created by black-on-black crime. A nightmare created on I got mine and you get yours. A nightmare created by a lack of togetherness. And this division must stop. Dr. King, I share those same sentiments. I am very disturbed to see my people in such disarray in 2017. We have fought so hard for our people to gain civil rights and opportunity, and to see where we are today with one another is heartbreaking. Many of us who have gotten the education and good jobs have forgotten the struggle. Those of us who are more suppressed because of low socioeconomic factors have forgotten the struggle. And let's not forget about those selfish Uncle Tom Negro leaders of today who have forgotten the struggle. Dr. King, Minister Malcolm, I'd like to share my views on the lack of unity between blacks, and I hope that you're not offended. The mere fact that we are discussing this lack of unity amongst blacks in 2017 is astonishing, to say the least. I predicted in my letter on the making of a slave that the principles that I taught would last for over 300 years. Lack of unity and distrust and envy amongst the Negro was a part of my initial plan, and it's been 305 years, 1712 to 2017. I have affected the psychological DNA of blacks for hundreds of years. In order for you to truly get unity, you need to understand the root of your division. For example, I separated the house Negro and the field Negro by treating the house Negro a little better. I taught the house Negro the ways of the house, and he felt smarter and more educated than the field Negro, once again creating division. I could go on with examples, but I will stop there for now. Minister Malcolm, the floor is yours. I must agree that the plan that Willie Lynch put together in 1712 is quite prevalent today, especially when I look at the black community. I would like to think that we are smarter, but we must understand that human nature can be weak. What do you think, Dr. King? Malcolm, I have to yield and agree to the aforementioned rhetoric of Willie Lynch. We as a people have got to break these shackles on our minds and come together. Thank you, gentlemen. Now I would like to give you all the stage for your closing remarks. Willie Lynch, you may proceed first. Thank you. In closing of this wonderful union of minds, I'd like to thank Dr. King and Minister Malcolm for their honesty. As I have observed America for the past hundreds of years till 2017, I see a beautiful country still struggling with its growth. America is the greatest country in the world today. She is powerful and leading the world in many areas. Despite the internal turmoil, she still prospers. Just imagine how great she could be if we all came together. America is a land of diverse people, and that's how she was built. We must accept our differences and stand together as one America. When I see how I have affected her growth for hundreds of years, for this, as an old wise man, I am ashamed and deeply saddened. I can't take back what I've done, but I hope that the people of America can grow beyond the ideology that I have left behind. We have to become smarter and not let some ideology like that in which I have created consume us today. And understand that America is the land of the people, of a free people. And that's not just for some, but for all. Do not allow your leaders to separate you, or other nations will surpass you, and with division, they will even try to defeat you in war. Your differences are your strength. Make your leaders accountable for their wrong, and unite as one. I wish everyone well in 2017, and God bless my fair America. Thank you, Willie Lynch. Minister Malcolm, you may proceed with your closing remarks. I want to first say thank you for allowing me to be a part of this historical gathering. This conversation is truly needed. In closing, I must say that looking back at where we are today is very heartbreaking. The mere fact that we are fighting one another is tragic. I see my people so divided, and with division, change comes at a slow pace, and possibly not at all. Many of us fought hard for our people to obtain civil rights, and many of us died for this struggle. In protest, we were beaten, lynched, and jailed for standing up for our rights. When you see the suffering that we had to endure to get equal rights, how can you want to hurt your brother? I'm not just talking about killing, but I'm also talking about not helping each other on your jobs, because jealousy and envy is running amok. We are lost today. The educated Negro does not support each other. The Negro on the street does not support each other. And I'm sick to my stomach because of your behavior. Learn your history and get some pride and self-respect. You do foolish things because of ignorance of your past. I'm telling all of you right now today, it's time to love and care for each other by any means necessary. Thank you. Dr. King, the floor is all yours. The state of where we are as a nation is perplexing today. The state of where we are as a people is perplexing today. As a nation, we are divided because of differences. But this nation was built by those very differences. And that's why we are a diverse, strong nation. If and when we come together, we will be stronger and even better as a nation. As a people, we have to learn to embrace and love each other and understand that we all struggle together. There are many people that have died for the very rights that we have today, and we must not lose focus as to why they gave their lives. Back in the day, we had unity. We were our brother's keepers. The roads that you have to travel have not been untouched because they have been traveled before. Those roads were traveled by people that cared for one another and stood committed to a cause. The torch has been passed, but it has been dropped. I challenge each of you to learn the richness of your history and understand the struggle, past, present, and love one another. And you can then pick up the torch and proceed down the roads of equality and justice, and results you shall see, just like we did. God bless you all. Dr. King, Minister Malcolm, and Willie Lynch, I want to thank you all for participating in this historical, monumental event. History Speaks, Part 1. God bless us all.